Hey everybody, it's me, Kathy. This is number one holiday appetizer, and it's the funniest thing because it didn't start out that way, but it ended up that way. So what I made is I set out to make pumpkin raviolis. I bought a sugar pumpkin at the farmer's market, and I've never worked with fresh pumpkin before because I was usually cooking for a lot of people. And as I've said before, you get to feed the masses man, and big number 10 cans of pumpkin puree was really the only way to go when we were doing that. But so I decided to play, and I got a sugar pumpkin, and I took out the seeds, and I roasted them, and I cut the pumpkin into quarters and baked it till it was tender. Scraped out the flesh, the pulp, and cooked it up, pureed it, seasoned it, and then I had bought some wonton wrappers, and my goal that day was to make uh, pumpkin raviolis with a apple maple cream sauce. And as I was putting the raviolis together, I thought to myself, these are wontons. I could fry these. So what I did was I finished them up, I fried them, and I made a sauce out of the pumpkin seeds. I added some hot peppers and some cream and some seasonings to the pumpkin seeds and pureed those up and made a nice dipping sauce. And so here's your first holiday appetizer: pumpkin wontons with a pumpkin seed dipping sauce. Enjoy. We are going to give our little pumpkin a scrub. Get rid of all that dirt that came out of the pumpkin patch. And like a jack-o'-lantern, we're going to remove the stem. I'm not sure if this is the proper way to do it, but like I said in my intro, it's the first time, my first time. So we're going to pull that top off and any residual guts that are attached. We are going to cut our pumpkin into quarters, first in half, then in quarters. We're going to remove the seeds. And save them for later. And we're going to place our pumpkin on a baking sheet. Preheat the oven to 325. We're going to drizzle our quarters with a little bit of olive oil. And some salt. A little pepper. And we're going to bake those for 35 minutes or so. Just enough so that when you insert a knife, like you would a potato, and if it slides in and out nicely and is tender, then that means your squash, or sorry, pumpkin, is done. And you're ready to move to the next step. Lose my voice. We're going to take the skin off. I thought this would be easy because one of them, the skin was just peeling right off and then it stopped. So I took out a little knife and finished the job. And repeated that with all of our sections. Broke it up into little pieces. Tossed it in a saucepan. And there's all of it. And over medium heat, we're going to add some butter. And season with salt. And with pepper. Some dehydrated minced onion. Some garlic powder. Some cinnamon. Some nutmeg. And some clove. And some brown sugar, because they call them sugar pumpkins, but they're not really very sweet. And in that pan, we're going to stir this and break it up and mix it around so the seasonings become well incorporated. And we're going to keep going and stirring and breaking it up and mixing it around. And a little water helps to soften it up. And I didn't realize that pumpkin was so stringy. It's almost like spaghetti squash. So I pulled out my immersion blender and went to town on it and stirred and pureed and kept going a little longer, getting there, really getting there, and just about there. And now, pumpkin puree. It's smooth. It looks like it came right out of a can. And I could have used a can for this, but I didn't. We're going to add an entire 1 pound container of ricotta cheese to our pumpkin puree and a little fistful of Parmesan cheese and stir that to blend it well. And there is our pumpkin ravioli filling. Smooth, creamy, sweet, savory, cheesy, and now we have some wonton wrappers with which we are going to wrap this filling. We're going to lay them out on a work surface and make an egg wash. Ordinarily, and you've seen this before, I use water to moisten the edges of a wonton wrapper when I'm going to wrap it up, but this time you want it to seal a little better, so I decided to make a thin egg wash with a little water mixed in with that egg, and we're going to moisten the edges all the way around of each one, and we're going to top them with our pumpkin filling, about a heaping tablespoon's worth. And we are ready to put the tops on. We're going to cover each one with another wonton wrapper. And one at a time, we're going to carefully pinch the edges together, nice and evenly, to close them up. And we're going to press them real hard with our fingers to make sure that they're well sealed. And as I was making these, I was going to boil them and serve them with a sauce, but as I was making these, I thought, wow, wonton wrappers, let's fry them. So we're going to fry them in batches, and they went from being pumpkin raviolis to pumpkin wontons. And once they're floating, we're going to lift them out, drain them on some paper towels, and we're going to keep doing it till they're all done. And now we're going to make a sauce out of those pumpkin seeds. So you want to put the seeds in a strainer. With the water running, you want to wash all that pulp off of them until you have just seeds. I'm going to place them on a baking sheet with a little salt and pepper and oil and roast them for a little bit. Now these were going to be my topping for our raviolis, but now they're becoming the sauce, so a little onion diced, actually chopped up into a rough dice. And we're going to also use a crust of bread, some truffle oil, some hot peppers. So in a skillet, we're going to put the truffle oil and the pumpkin seeds and the bread pieces and the onion and hot peppers. And we're going to cook these until they're softened. And the bread will be a little browned and a little crusty. We're going to season them with garlic powder, because I didn't have any fresh garlic, which I would have used had I. And as you can see, that bread's beginning to brown, and the rest of the mixture is getting soft. So now we're going to put that mixture into the food processor. And we're going to pulse it, and pulse it, and pulse it, and then we're going to turn on the blade to puree with about 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. And we're going to let that machine run until a sauce forms. And there's the beginning of it forming, and there's the end of it. And it won't be entirely smooth because of those pumpkin seeds, but it will be mostly smooth. So we're going to put that in a pan and add to it some half and half or cream. And stir it till it becomes a nice creamy sauce. And after that becomes a nice creamy sauce, we're going to throw in just a little splash of maple syrup. And there is our creamy pumpkin seed sauce, with which we are going to serve our pumpkin wontons. And there you have a beautiful presentation in my antique hand-painted glasses that I love so much. You might want to save this one for Thanksgiving dinner and serve it as an appetizer. It's really good.